Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Well, we've been talking about HOCD for a past while, and we've gone through lots of different kind of explanations to help you understand. And recently I've realized that it's most important for you to understand the relationship between you and the brain, you and thoughts. Thoughts being product of the brain. It's not a product of you. It's a product of the brain. The part that creates intrusive thoughts, it's not the part of the brain that you have any control on. It's not your thoughts, because the brain does its own thing. You see, the problem is with HOCD and all these other intrusive thoughts that people have. The problem that you have with it, when the problem starts, is when you give it an interpretation, when you give it a word, when you give it a meaning, because word has a meaning. When you give a word with an image, to a pictorial, it's like having a caricatures, the picture frame of some kind in a magazine somewhere, and then there's a caption. If the caption is not there, there is no identity for that picture. You see the picture, image, good or bad, nasty, disgusting, or whatever, flower or something, and that's it. And you make a decision on it that's bad picture, or not interested, disturbing, and then you go. But when you give it a word, a caption, a description by word, and word has a meaning, and the meaning has been registered in dictionary and in languages, so it stands for something, as if it gives it credibility. When you give that word, the word has a meaning, the meaning is not disputable, it's in the dictionary, therefore it gives it credibility, a false credibility. So the idea is that you should not give any narration, any caption, any word, any meaning, any description to the pictorial that shows up in your head. If you don't give it that, it will just be what it is. Something bad showed up, something that, whatever this is, and then you don't have any connection between that word and the meaning to other words and other associations that the word brings. Therefore, it severs. It has a better chance to sever that pictorial, that episode of whatever popped up, showed up, presented as a pictorial in your head. So you have to then understand the reason these things show up is because you forget that the brain has a mandate. It's a machine. It's not you. You're not creating these pictures or these thoughts of any kind at all, because you have to understand your relationship with the brain. The brain has a part that you're not in control of. You are the carrier of an apparatus that does certain thing. And this particular apparatus that you're carrying it on your shoulder, on your head, if you separate that apparatus from you, it's like you're carrying a machine, and this machine makes thoughts. It's a thought manufacturing machine. So these are sort of intrusive thoughts of all kinds, OCD of all subsets, pedophile OCD, responsibility OCD, harm OCD, HOCD, all these OCD thoughts or images that is created is not because you have anything to do with it. It's because the brain's job is to make thoughts, and these thoughts are made because it can be made, because that's the job of the brain. The brain is like a factory that's supposed to figure out ways to make any kind of thought and images that is worldly possible. And because all kinds of ingredients and information are somehow people's lifestyle, different genders, different topics, different of every topic in the world, sexual or non-sexual, that has seeped in through all the mediums into the manufacturing plant, the inventory of the manufacturing plant that makes this product, thought, then its job is to make whatever it's possible. So because such thoughts or images in essence is possible to be made, then it makes it. Not because you have any interest in it or because you wanted it to be made. You've got actually absolutely nothing to do with the part of the brain that does these sort of things. That's its job. It even doesn't know that it's doing it to bother you or not. It just makes thoughts. But when you give it an association to you, then it starts bothering. When you give it a word description, then it starts bothering. But if you just let it be a thought or a pictorial, whatever it is, and then just make a judgment on it, that that's bad, that's disgusting, I'm not interested, or just then move on. But once you start data hunting it and give it a character, give it a scenario, a role, or by word or meaning, then it goes to different tangents and the rabbit holes and association of the words and all that and so forth. So what I really mean is that when you give it a word or an association or a narration or a caption, with my description that I just made, also add to it, what I'm trying to say is that when you associate that thought or pictorial or how it affected you or how it popped up, what was showed up on the screen of your head, you associate that to, you label it to something, or homosexuality, or you associate it with a label, with a certain kind of a known label, and then that label is one of the reasons that you start questioning, because you just gave it a label, a lifestyle, a character, rather than think of it as a pictorial or a thought. And it was nasty. It was, it's not interesting to me. It's not my lifestyle, or something that is disturbing to you, depending on your gender. But whatever it is, instead of just thinking it as something that it was unwanted and uninteresting to you, you give it a label. Then that label, whatever it is, pedophile, and then now you put yourself in the category of pedophile, or homosexual, or if you're homosexual, heterosexual, whatever it is that you don't like, and that represents that picture, or a thought represents that kind of a suggestion, then you go on and starts getting bothered by it. But if you don't associate it with anything or don't label it, then the word has no sense into any particular meaning, and then you'll have an easier time dealing with it. So understand, you're carrying an apparatus, a machine. It's not you. It happens to be in your head. But just because it does what it does and it uses the screen of your head, that it pops up in there, that doesn't mean that it's yours. You've got nothing to do with it. You have to understand that thoughts that are being made, pictures, pictorials that are being made by the brain, it's a separate entity from you. You just happen to be carrying it with you. But, you may be carrying, a bag of shit or a bag of oranges. Neither one is yours. You're the carrier. You're not the orange and you're not the shit. Same thing. These thoughts and pictures have got nothing to do with it. So don't give it a label. Don't give it an association. Don't give it a lifestyle. Don't give it a existence of a picture or something that would put you in a certain category. Then you'll be fine and easier to handle. You will look at it as a picture, uninteresting, bad thought, bad picture, and then you go on with it. That would be the extent of it. Otherwise, when you label it and when you give it association, when you give it a character or a certain category or group, then it'll be difficult to, and it goes to different tangents, and that becomes an issue. That becomes something to ponder or think about. That sucks you into that whole process. Then you won't data hunt it. Then you won't associate to yourself. Then you'll have an easier life to get back to your balance and on to bigger and better things. I'll talk to you later.